Hi, and good morning. Welcome to H3 TV, where we talk about how to stay hopeful, healthy, and happy in the midst of life's disruptions, whether it's something in your business, something in your personal life, or a literal disruption of traffic or timing or hurricanes. We try to bring hope, health, and happiness in the midst of it. I'm so grateful for my subscribers to YouTube and those of you that follow me on social media. I really appreciate your support. I am growing my YouTube every day and hoping to hit 1,000 subscribers this year. Exciting news for me is that I just released my 8th book, Choose to Soar, Navigating Disruption in Life and in Business, this week. And I so appreciate the many of you that have written encouragement, that have already downloaded the Kindle version or bought a paperback. So I just wanted to start today by saying thank you as I journeyed through the hurricane to write something and bring something good out of something so disruptive and so tragic in my life. So thank you for your support along the way. And thank you, particularly those that have gone out of your way to buy a book this week. I really, really appreciate your support. Today, I have the pleasure of having my guest, Carla, with me. Please help me welcome her to the stage. Hey, Carla.
Hello. My
Thanks
name
for
is
being here. Tell us who you are and what you do. Where do you live, Carla? Who are you?
my name is Carla Pritchett, and I live in Stillwater, Minnesota. And I am presently a new author of the book Getting to the Heart of Relationships. Whoops, let's put it out there. And part of my history is I worked for 18 years as a bereavement coordinator for a local northern Wisconsin hospice. And I've been retired now for 5 years, so that gives me the time to write and get published.
Yeah, good for you. Such important work to walk alongside people as they say goodbye and move on and to support their families. So I love that that is your background. So, Carla, when you think of disruption and how it's affected your life professionally or personally, what's a disruption? I know death can feel like a disruption to those people letting someone go, but what area of your life have you felt a disruption?
Well, you know what? In defining disruption, at first I thought of it as an unexpected change, but I later thought, it's really any change from our normal routine, because then we're having to kind of recalibrate to get our stability.
That's
And I was identifying so many disruptions in my life. It took me a while to figure out, okay, which one do I want to share?
yeah.
And I decided I would go with one of the more recent ones, which was 5 years ago. I knew I was going to retire, and I had actually given a year's notice. So I knew that disruption was coming. What I didn't know is that at the time, my mom and I had been living together for many years. And as I neared retirement, I was starting to train a couple women to take over, and my mom ended up getting sick and had 2 months of different hospitalizations, different things, me caring for her at home while trying to work also. And so that was a disruption, something I didn't expect. And what I found is that if I could stay in the present moment and be present in love for myself and for my mom and for anybody who entered our journey, that I could keep my balance and I could get the most out of every moment that we shared. And so that is really the disruption that I decided to focus on.
Well, and the truth is, you kind of had two disruptions there. So I always think
Right.
disruption can be unexpected, as you said, but can also be disruption that we choose, like retirement, like moving, like taking a new class. It disrupts our life. And as much as I think of disruption often in really big, major ways, yesterday I got back on track with my morning workout, and I have an hour quiet time, an hour workout, and then I start my day and I feel so much better. Well, this morning I woke up to what had been a little bit of a sick dog for 2 days to a really sick dog. And all of a sudden I'm not exercising. I'm barely reading my quiet time. I'm holding him. And I was thinking, disruption comes, right? It throws you off track of your schedule, of your plans, and you have to, if you stay open to it, great things can come too. So Carla, when you're kind of probably looking forward to this retirement season in your life, and then your mom gets sick, how did you stay hopeful in the midst of disruption you chose? And then on top of it, because they layer to this disruption that you had not prepared for, how did you stay hopeful and optimistic as you kind of walk through that?
Well, I think the biggest element for me, and this is something I wish I knew very early on in life, is to trust my journey. And so often we have in our mind the direction we expect our life to go. And then when life happens and life takes us elsewhere, we can fight it. So I've learned not to fight it, but just to trust it. Even if I don't like what's happening, I go, okay, this is the way it is. And what's the best I can do right now? And it takes away the resistance, it takes away the struggle, it takes away a lot of the emotional pain also. Not that I don't feel my emotions and that I don't feel pain, but it's very minimal compared to what I would feel if I resisted what was happening. And because I trust my own journey, I also had to trust my mother's journey. And so as she was going through all these different things, I have always told her that we're a team, and what affects you affects me. So let's do this together and let's make the most of this time. And so I think I stayed hopeful by because I could trust, and it also helped me detach a little bit so that I could be effective in the situation. And mom and I were able to enjoy each other, and we were able to enjoy all the family, all the friends. Plus, when I would go and she would be resting, or I would have someone with her, then I would go upstairs and work.
Mm.
And then I could focus on my work because I was in the present moment. And it was an interesting journey in that I feel like I was able to walk through good periods of what I would call grace.
Mm.
And it's almost like it's hard to describe because it's just so filled with love and peace and um, acceptance of what was taking place. So,
Well, you are throwing down a lot of great words for our listeners. And one thing I forgot to say this morning is if you have questions or comments for Carla or I anytime throughout the show, please put them in the comments. Well, we promise to respond to all of them, whether we get to them during the show or we'll comment after, wherever you're meeting us, whether it's YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook. So, Carla, I always like to make things small and easy for people to absorb. So you said a lot of great words here, but I just want to repeat a few of them back to our listeners. She said she stayed hopeful by staying open. She lowered her expectations. She trusted the journey. She detached from the outcome. She enjoyed the moments. She added more words to these, but she said, I enjoyed the moments. She was present, which led her to feeling an experience of grace, love, peace, and acceptance. And I think when we take her great story and just take it into sound bites for how we can apply it to our own journey, to our own disruption, are you trusting the journey in your disruption? Are you enjoying the moments? And are you finding peace, love, grace, and acceptance? And I think one of the things that challenges us the most, Carla, in disruption is our expectations, that we expect things to go a certain way and disruption turns them. So, what were some of your habits that you kept intact to stay healthy in any of the 7 ways that we think about health, financially, emotionally, physically, mentally? How did you stay healthy when things felt disruptive and maybe overwhelming at times?
well, I had to be careful because I was diagnosed in my 30s with Meniere's, which has to do with vertigo. And so I have to take really good care of myself physically so that I don't end up having vertigo. And so I was very conscious as I was going through this journey to get to bed at night and get a decent amount of sleep. Even though I always felt like I needed to get up and get to the hospital, I thought, no, I'll set the alarm for this time because my body needs this sleep. And I would take little breaks during the day. And also, if I needed help, I would ask for help, which, is something that sometimes is very hard. It's something I had to learn to do over the years. And also accept help when people offered it. And I think those are, some of the bigger things, in addition to going for walks and
Yeah,
making sure I did eat, which, it's so easy to get.
yeah, I think those are all great tips. I think you remind us. I think one of the most important things about being healthy in any way starts with the foundation of a good night's sleep. And
Yeah.
knowing, hey, I'm exhausted, it's okay to take a nap. It's okay to go home and rest a little bit. Even though I could be at my mom's bedside, I'm going to go take care of me. And that allows us to be better caretakers. It allows us to enjoy life and to maintain our own health. Asking for help is such a huge way to stay healthy. Asking and receiving, I always say, asking for help makes you stronger, not weaker. And sometimes we live in a society of toughing it out, and toughing it out doesn't really help us. It actually hurts us and the ones we love because we haven't taken care of ourselves. So you gave some great tips there. How about happiness and humor? How did you find some laughter, joy, happiness, and humor in the midst of these challenging disruptions?
Well, I think I can attribute a lot of that to my mother because she had a great sense of humor, and she just made the best of her time and the company she would have. And then also, because I was still working for hospice, and even after, we had become a family. I'd been there 18 years, and I had so much, so much support and help from my fellow friends and coworkers. So the support, and I guess that's one thing I want to mention about hospice. I have never worked with so many caring and loving people, and it has always given me faith in humanity and hope for us in the world, just because of the people that I've worked with and, I know put their heart into everything they do.
Yeah, I often hear nurses are angels walking among us, but people that work in hospice are even a more special angel that allow, and what a privilege to help people transfer out of this earth, but also what a responsibility to hold all of that love and grace and calmness. And so you probably see a lot of disruption because we all deal with death differently. And so you have watched that and you have helped people. So Paula, Carla, what I always think about is how have you used some of your own lessons from your personal and professional life to help mentor other people as they walk through disruptions? I love that you ask for help and you have these amazing coworkers and friends that you've been with for so many years. But how do you mentor and offer the wisdom that you have to the next person going through those challenges?
Well, I think in life that I believe that anyone that comes into your, whether it's your day or your life, there's a reason for it. Not that everybody's healthy to be around, but, I think I worked for 16 years as a bereavement coordinator doing grief support. And so I not only shared some coping skills with them, and also found myself in situations, whether past or present, where I had to use the same skills. But I also learned a lot from their journeys, So I think it's, just, I think it's true for all of us. We learn as we live our life. And because of the things we've learned as we've lived our life, certain people come into our life to hear things we have to say. And it's not that we say them in an attempt to teach. We say, maybe share in an attempt to support, or just say, this was my experience. This is what helped me. I don't know if it'll help you, but I just felt the need to share it.
Share it.
Uh,
Being that you worked in bereavement and or grief and hospice for so many years, if we have a listener right now, we know that grief can come from a loss of a job, a loss of a home, a loss of a relationship. what are kind of, if you have them, like your top three tips that you would tell someone who's just gone through a loss that feels heartbroken and devastated? What are maybe the first three things you'd encourage them to think about or look at or do?
Well, I think one of the thing is, especially, is to find out where you draw your strength from.
Mhm.
Is it from nature? Is it family, friends? We all get our support in different ways. And to kind of focus on that, because when we're grieving, we tend to go inward. And what we really need is to go outward to get some support and some strength. And another thing is that you matter. You need to take good care of yourself, even if you don't feel like it. You do matter. And also to, be open to sharing with people that you trust. That's a real important part of grieving.
Wonderful. Tell us a little bit about your book. Why did you write it? What's it about?
Well, I actually started writing about, I think it was about 35 years ago. And this one was one of my early books that I wrote. I added to it over the years, getting to the heart of relationships. And it's really about learning how to love and care for yourself in your relationships, how to trust yourself and to be honest, and also how to hear what another person has to say without necessarily taking it so personally. And communication, honesty, trust, just the really important aspects of healthy relationships. So it's a book that is a benefit whether you're in an intimate relationship or not, because we have so many relationships, so many different types. And I think we need to broaden our scope of what we call define love as. I call if care deeply to me is represents love. And so often people will have a very narrow definition, and then, they'll bring it to a romantic relationship. And then if they don't have that romantic relationship, they feel like they have no love in their life.
Mhm.
Not looking at their family or their friends or their neighbors, people who show them kindnesses and are part of their day.
Absolutely. I've been studying ADHD a lot and the effects on relationships, which have been fascinating and eye-opening to me, and I appreciate that. But also studying relationships, the value of friendships with women as we grow older, and how important those, and just people that are different than you and how they think one way, and you expand each other's mind, and you just can grow and keep evolving by doing that. So thank you for studying that. So Carla, as we kind of wind down here, if there's one thing you want people to know about you, or one thing you want them to know about themselves, a lesson as they go through disruption on how to stay hopeful, healthy, and happy, or something, if there's a story of an experience, could be from when you did hospice or something personally or professionally. What is some wisdom or a story you want to share with our listeners before we close out today?
Well, I tell you one thing, I took my first hospice training about 40 years ago. And at the time, I wasn't able to work for hospice then. But one thing I carried with me from the training was all you have to do is show up and be present in love. So when you're walking into no matter what the situation is, and you don't know what to expect, because we get so fearful of the unknown, just say, okay, all I have to do is be present in love. And that means for whoever you encounter, but also for yourself. And so my message would be present in love.
Ah, beautiful. I feel like that is my lesson for my audience. Is always, I always think about, all really I'm here to do for them is love them and support them. I can teach them this or teach them that or tell them a story or give them a strategy, but if I just love them, so many people feel undervalued or underloved. I love when you said, take care of yourself. You matter, even if you're grieving someone you love. I think that is so important. Is if we just, it's excellent training for hospice. I think it's excellent training for life. Is if we just show up with love and be present and see people, it will make them feel valued, which always brings me back to the pineapple principle: see people, value, see yourself, value yourself, and be sweet to yourself, then you will see people value people and be sweet to them. And so I love it, Carla. So Carla, if people want to get a hold of you, what is the best way to connect with you?
Okay, my website is www.authorcarlapritchett, PRITCHETT.com. And so they're welcome to come on the website and leave messages, and I will get back to them.
Perfect. And are you on social media at all, or?
I am on Instagram, and I'm also on Facebook.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here, Carla. Thank you for sharing a piece of your story with our listeners. We hope you felt inspired, encouraged, picked up a new idea. And if you have questions, comments, or thoughts, please leave them in the comment box on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. And we hope to see you again here next week. Thanks for being with me, Carla, and thanks for listening.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Annie.